How about take a look at used car inventory? Now, I agree with you. When you have a store that's got 200 used cars in stock and they're busy going through the vehicle detail pages on the used cars, that's high quality time. We know it is. It's not even speculation. Viewing a vehicle detail page is one of the indicators that correlates to an actual purchase. You know, all the research shows when we do the tagging post and after sale. So I'll give you an example where tags come in valuable. How many of you put in email addresses when you RDR a car? Anybody do that? You know what I'm talking about when you report the vehicle? You know how the manufacturer then sends a link to the customer to come to the My Ford page or the, I don't know, everybody's got their own, right? They send an invitation. Well, those tags now are being used to then look at the prior traffic that that customer, the sites they visited in the 30 days or the 20 days or whatever before they bought the car. So we know what kind of behaviors are occurring by the people who end up actually buying a car. Vehicle detail page is one of those behaviors. Let me throw out another question. This is a result of tagging that we know this. What's more valuable, a lead, a request for quote that a customer fills out, or the customer pulls up the directions to your dealership? The directions to your dealership is a 500% greater indicator of a purchase than the request for quote lead. Now, granted, there's a lower quantity. You have less people getting directions to the dealership, but the ones that do are much more likely to end up being reported as a sale than the customers that submit a request for quote. So understanding these types of things is only possible as a result of tagging, which is what I was talking about just a little while ago. Geotagging, YouTube. I gotta believe, is every dealer putting videos on YouTube? Okay, what videos are you putting on there? Salespeople videos, love it. What's that? Sync. Okay. What's that? What'd you say? Customer reviews are great. Is anybody taking their photos of the used car inventory and manufacturing pseudo videos, I'll call them, where the photos are panned and zoomed in a series of sequences, the stitched together photos, okay? And this is just my opinion. I haven't watched a whole bunch of those. I'll give you one piece of advice. Your 10-second pre-roll at the beginning, get rid of it. If I look at 3 cars, and I go to look at the 4th car, and I gotta go through how mama caught this 100-pound marlin before they opened the dealership in 1955, one more time, I'll never set foot in your dealership. The most irritating thing about these automated video systems is the pre-roll. The post-roll is okay. If they want to sit through the post-roll, God bless them. But don't force people to see the same 10 or 15-second spot every time they look at one of your cars. Because you know what they're going to stop doing? What do you think they're going to stop doing? They're going to stop looking at your cars because it's so damn irritating. Custom-made videos, what's more effective? Automatically generated, or videos that are made by the dealership, or videos that are professionally produced? They all have a place, but I have to tell you, you don't want to be dependent on any one single category. I love professionally produced videos that have a lot of snap and pop, but you know, there's nothing quite like introducing a customer who just took delivery of a new Chevy Camaro and putting that on YouTube and putting Chevy Camaro in with the tags in the description, so that when somebody's searching for videos about Chevy Camaro, they stumble across a video from your dealership of a customer taking delivery of a Camaro. Because one of the things that we know from experience, customers are more likely to respond to what their peers, what other consumers do, than anything you say as a dealer. You do understand that, right? So if their friends and neighbors are buying cars from your dealership, they're far more likely to come to your dealership and buy a car than if they see advertising. And I'm an advertising guy.
If you don't mind me asking.
Please.
This is a strategy we're kind of moving towards.
Yep.
More videos. I've talked to a lot of folks, different age groups, what they do with the videos, looking online, YouTube, all this. What I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm seeing though, most of the views and the biggest impacts come from those quote off-the-cuff videos.
Oh yeah.
The ones that are natural, the ones that look fine, not the professionally done, the walk around of the vehicle, but you know,
absolute truth. So let me point something out to you. Switch. Right now you work in a dealership. Pretend you never worked in a dealership. Are you necessarily interested in what the dealership has to say, or are you interested in something that is exciting and fun and goofy and makes you laugh and entertains you? So that's what, and I'll give you a personal experience of this. So I've done a lot of videos. I've done walk-arounds. I've done where you get crazy. I've done where you're reserved. I've done them professional. One day I rented a car at LAX, and I drove to a dealer in LA, and then I had to go to a dealer in San Diego. I was taking the toll road going south, and there was a black Porsche that passed me. I mean, I was doing 80 miles an hour, and this guy passed me with a differential of about 40 miles per hour, so he was probably doing $120. I'm in a Camaro SS. For some mistake, I rented from Hertz. I rented, I was supposed to get like a Nissan Altima, and I don't know, they ran out. They gave me a Camaro SS. I pull myself in the left lane, and I put the hammer down. I catch up to this Porsche, and I have the presence of mind to whip out my cell phone, and I turn on the video. What's that?
On the freeway?
And I was doing 125. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm holding the steering wheel. I'm holding the steering wheel like this, and I got the cell phone with the video running, and I'm showing the speedometer. I'm showing the Porsche in front of me, and I'm talking, and I'm going, this, I was probably cursing. This son of a gun in a Porsche. Well, here I am in some American iron that costs about 10% of what that Porsche costs, and he can't lose me. Because this guy kept putting it down. He hit like 135 miles an hour, and I was right on his ass. So it was about a 2-minute video, and I didn't think much of it. But when I got to the hotel in San Diego, I uploaded it to YouTube, tagged it, Chevy Camaro chasing a black Porsche 135 miles an hour. I didn't think anything of it. I started getting emails from people saying I should be arrested, I should be thrown in jail, I should be castrated, I should never be allowed on the road ever again. So I go to YouTube, and the darn thing, if it hasn't gotten over 100,000 views. I've never had a video get 100,000 views. So to your point, I think you can definitely have an extreme, and that's an extreme. I'm not sure that would be used to sell cars, except that my friends at Courtesy Chevrolet said they did. They took my video and said, a former Courtesy Chevrolet employee reveals why he no longer works at Courtesy Chevrolet. And then they embedded it and they lapped right onto it. So you can get creative with video in a way that few other mediums will allow you to do. And I highly encourage you to do it. But here's what you have to have. You have to have a relationship with the dealer. So I can tell you, Bill Grewell, the owner of Courtesy, he used to tell me this. If he didn't have me in his office telling me to stop doing something once a month, I wasn't doing my job. If you can have that kind of relationship, you're okay. But be careful that you don't do something that embarrasses the dealership, because you might be out of work if you do. There's no quicker way to get fired than to embarrass a dealer. You can be producing all the numbers you want. Embarrass the dealer principal or embarrass the brand. So somebody like Becky's going to call the dealer and say, you would never do that, Becky? Well, maybe somebody at your, what you don't want, it was usually General Motors calling Bill saying, somebody in your dealership has done such and such. And of course, he always knew who it was. So you can have fun with video, but be careful. So go into this timeline, because I got to move ahead here. We're going to run out of time. A couple things I want to point out. Google Places is now Google Plus, Google Local, Google Maps. We've seen a lot of transitions there. I'm going to give you one word of advice. I have never seen in the digital realm, this is even worse than Cars Direct. I have dealers that had over 1,000 reviews on their Google Places. And those reviews disappeared overnight. I'll never forget sitting in Mario Morgado's office in Miami. I don't work for Google. I'm just like their consultant, right? And he's telling me how it made him look like a crook in the local community because Google took down his 1,700 reviews. And he's giving me one of these, I'm telling you, Ralph, if you don't get this fixed in the next 48 hours, don't hold me responsible for what happens. I mean, it was a scary moment. And then Mario Jr. and myself, we went to work. We got the reviews back. Then they disappeared again. Here's the lesson to be learned. Do not put all your reviews in one basket. Do not tell your customer, here's the only place you should be putting reviews. You know what I've learned from all this? Give your customers a choice. Let them, build a landing page, take the icons for all the different review sites that have your dealership listed, and tell them that you care about what the customer has to say, and let the customer pick. If the customer's a Google person, they use Gmail, they'll pick Google. If the customer's a Yelper, they'll pick Yelp. But what do you think happens if you have somebody who's never used Yelp and you convince them to do a Yelp review? What do you think happens? It gets filtered. It's gone, baby. Nobody's ever going to see it. Let the customer pick the review site when they're not in the dealership. There was some mention, either last night or today, about doing reviews in dealerships. There's nothing wrong with asking for reviews at the point of sale. Don't let anybody tell you that. What's wrong is if you manipulate them. What's wrong is if you have them posted someplace that specifically says in their terms of service that they do not want reviews done at the place of business. Now for car dealers, there's two companies that provide review sites for doing reviews inside the dealership. One is Presto Reviews, a company out of Chicago, and the other one is Business Radar, a company out of San Diego. I've used them both. They both work. They both embrace reviews done in the dealership. Now I'm going to give you a third piece of guidance on reviews that to me has been a huge shocker. If I sell you a car and I give you an iPad and you do a review on Business Radar, when you get home and the next day you get an email asking you to do a review, giving you a choice of these different sites, my gut instinct initially was that you would never do a review because you already did one when you're in the dealership. Guess what? It's the reverse. We've been running this now for over a year in several dealerships. The customers that do the reviews when they're in your store are about 7 times more likely to do another review when they get home and you send them the email. Now here's the trick. In the email, you don't even give them a link to the Business Radar site because you did that one already. What you're doing now is you're taking one customer, you're getting their opinion while they were there doing a review. Now think about this. Now you're getting another review from the comfort of their home or office. If both reviews are positive, what's the likelihood that it's true? As opposed to, they did you a glowing review in the dealership, they get the email, and then they go into Yelp and they go, these sons of a guns, they gave me $100 to do a positive review while I was in the dealership. I'm telling you, when you combine the two, the in and the out, it forces your salespeople to stay honest because the customer gets to rat them out when they get the email that the salesperson didn't send. It's automatically sent from the dealership system. It's a check and balance. It's a control system. It's like debit, credit. They have to balance. So if you're going to do reviews in the dealership, make sure you give the customer an opportunity to do a review in a different venue when they're not in the dealership so that you're validating the review that they did when they were in the dealership. Does that make sense? The other thing you're going to find out is if they do a review in the dealership, it's like you're training the customer. Now they're going to do more. So, moving forward, lead generation, Auto by Tal, Cars Direct, disruption, Auto by Tal disruption, Cybercar, company I work for. We taught dealers. This is a strategy that, and I wish Greg was still in the room because he helped create this strategy. You know, the true test of a marketing strategy. If a marketing strategy is still valid 10 years after somebody put it down on paper, in my opinion, that's the true test of validity. This from 1998 is no truer today than it was then. It is absolutely still true. We have to have a strategy around traffic. We have to have engagement with the consumer. We have to have a process that follows that engagement so that we're communicating with the customer and it leads to a sale. And we have to have a strategy of what to do when it does come time to sell. If they want to buy on the internet, if they want to buy in the dealership, if they want to buy over the phone. I've sold cars by fax machine. What the heck? Why not? If they want to buy a certain way, let them buy that certain way. The strategy still applies. This is a simple spreadsheet. I've got a very simple strategy that I've been using now since 1995 and it still works. I use conditional formulas. I have the totals down at the bottom, and every metric, if it's more than 10% below the average, it's red. If it's within 10% below and 10% above the average, it turns yellow. If it's more than 10% good, positive above the average, it's green. Very simple. I drop the numbers in every month, and I focus on the red. It's that simple. So if your phone call, see how this chart, if you go across from inbound phone call handling, it's all green and yellow. I don't spend any time on phone calls that month. But right above there, showroom traffic, my value for every showroom traffic visitor is below the average. So I'm going to find out what's causing that. Look at the unsold follow-up. Look at over here, all these red cells are unsold customer or referral. We're not getting enough referrals. So this sort of operational statement, it really gives you, as a manager, the area to focus on. Pick the red cells and attack them. Attack the red cells. If something's all yellow and green, let it ride, baby. Just keep on rolling. So this sort of management by numbers is only possible because we're able to get that data that comes from the fact that we can measure what goes on with the internet and in our dealership. So today the funnel looks a little different. I showed you the funnel from 1998. This is the 2012 funnel. Now we've got audience profile. We don't call it traffic now, we call it acquisition channels. Why? Because if you can engage with somebody within Twitter, if you can engage with somebody within Facebook, if you can have a blog and have the customer engage to the point where you get them to the dealership and they never go anywhere else besides the blog, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to make everybody come to your dealership website. The real goal is to sell cars, correct? So acquisition channels. Then we also have the website. We also have lead forms and shopping carts. How many of you can I buy parts and accessories online from? Good job, good job. Why a dealer wouldn't sell parts and accessories online is really beyond me. It's not like it's expensive. It's a little bit of work. You got to fill the order and ship the darn thing. I know that's a lot of work, but I've seen dealers that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in parts and accessory sales online, right here in Vegas, as a matter of fact. Leads, customers. When it comes down to targeting methods, let's talk about the advertising aspect of marketing. Couple key things to consider. There's contextual advertising, which is based on placing an ad on a website based on the words that are on that website that indicates people visiting that site are interested in your product. See how I got the little cookie above behavioral? Because it's all about the cookies that are being inserted in the customer browsers. There's demographic. There's a variety of ways. There's geographic. And then there's retargeting. Now, retargeting is the bullseye. Here's the problem with retargeting. If you don't have a lot of traffic to your website, the inventory is so small, you're not going to be able to spend much money. But if you have an effective retargeting strategy, which means you have a lot of tags, then you're good. It'll be very effective for you. And then performance-based results. Now, a couple of the results, we all know about traffic, phone calls, branded search, brand recall, consumer trust. Do you think, what's the name of your store? Lithia Automotive. So was anybody ever born asking to search for Lithia Automotive? If somebody searches for Lithia Automotive, is it fair to say that somehow, some way we've reached that consumer? So one of the indicators of your advertising effectiveness is how many branded searches occur each month for your dealership by name. Unless your name is Courtesy Chevrolet and there's 15 of them. So there are some exceptions to that rule. If you happen to be ABC Motors, it's not going to work. But if it's Paglia Ford, nobody searches for Paglia Ford unless I've been able to reach that consumer. Automotive digital marketing, the reason why I put this in here is twofold. Number one, I founded it, I created it. Truth be known, AutoCon is a result of automotive digital marketing. Here's what's amazed me about this, because we launched it 4.5 years ago. There is information, tools, files available for download, worksheets, documents, videos. We used to charge dealers $2,000 a day to come into the stores and provide them with this information. Now you go join ADM And because of the revenue that comes off the advertising, you get access to all these tools for no charge to the dealer. The advertisers are paying for all the costs associated with it. To me, that's a change in what's happened. Think about it. In 2003, 2,400 a day, I come into your store and I was delivering the same information that's now freely available on ADM. So there's a good news, bad news side to that. When you go into any of these types of sites, because there's several, what you want to look for is the leaderboard. Look for what the most popular articles have been. Look for who the most popular contributors are. And that way you can narrow it down. The other thing that we've done is recently we installed Google custom search within ADM. And I have to tell you, it's completely changed it, at least for me. Even though I'm the operator of the site, I always found it hard to find specific articles and specific files, even if I knew they were in there. When we installed the Google custom search, it works about 10 times better than the search that was built into the platform that we use. So the Google custom search has been highly effective. Social media marketing, when you talk about customer engagement, here's my opinion on this. Having been so close to the adoption of CRM by car dealers, in my opinion, the promises that we all made around CRM, and I'm looking at Becky because we both worked at Reynolds in those days, those promises we made, Becky, they didn't exactly come true the way we thought they would. But you know where those promises can be fulfilled? In social media. Social media will provide you with the type of engagement that we always sought after with CRM systems. And the reason being is the customer is picking the technology instead of the dealer. When the customer picks the technology and you go to the platform that the customer has chosen, the customer is in their comfort zone. They're in a space, they're in an environment that's theirs. They're much more likely to be receptive, they're much more likely to be forthcoming and open and share information than when they're in your environment where they're not necessarily in their comfort zone. So when it comes to social media, besides customer engagement, there's the question of how do you attract customers? Content. We've all heard the phrase, content is king. Well, yeah, content is king as long as it's good content. So there is a qualitative aspect to it. High quality content attracts high quality consumers. Low quality content attracts mostly spammers that leave comments with links under your comments, under your content. So content is an issue. But what I'm trying to show here is this concept of you create the content and then you share that content with other networks. And everybody makes it very easy. You get the share button. You go and push your YouTube video to Facebook. You send out a tweet at the same time. You're much more likely to get customers to watch it. Traffic flow. Now, you can get traffic. In fact, I have some dealers right now where their #1 source of referral traffic is no longer Google search, it's Facebook. I got one dealer where their #1 source of referral traffic is LinkedIn. Go figure. They've just nailed it when it comes to LinkedIn. But when you take a look at your referral traffic, if you're doing your social media marketing correctly, your referral traffic goes up. Phone calls. A couple of things I want to say about this. If you're using toll-free numbers on your directory listing, stop. It's a great idea, I've done it, but it screws everything up because when somebody does a reverse white page lookup, when these automated systems look up that number, it shows call source or who's calling or call bright as the owner of that number, not your dealership. And then your listing is then replaced with some old listing and you're sitting here going, what happened? It was correct yesterday, today my listing on Yahoo is wrong. It's because you used a toll-free number and Yahoo saw that you didn't own that number, so it must be invalid. So you just use local numbers, use numbers that are registered to your dealership. Some dealers actually own toll-free numbers that they own that are registered to that dealership. You can use those. The main thing is when somebody looks up who's the owner of that number, it has to be the physical location that your dealership is at. And I'm out of time, so I'm skipping through a lot of stuff. And I apologize for the slow start.
So what you're saying is all those call tracking numbers are...
Well, not for directory listings. They're good for everything else. Put them in your ads. But if you put a toll-free number in your directory listing that does not belong to you, that means your directory listing is invalidated for the rest of the information. Because after all, if you're using a phone number that doesn't belong to you, you're probably not actually that business. Same thing goes with URLs and emails. If you use a bad, if some employee goes in there and puts their Gmail account as an email, and it's not the email that is the extension like your website, it can cause a problem. But the phone numbers are worse than anything. This is a worksheet that I use. I suggest you do your worksheet. And what we do in a dealership is we come up with a story. Like let's say we have a story about the Habitat for Humanity. 6 volunteers from the dealership built 4 homes for Habitat for Humanity. We sit down with our key people that are involved, people that are willing to work on behalf of the dealership for social media marketing, and we assign each different people different channels. So-and-so is going to send it to Facebook. So-and-so is going to upload the videos. So-and-so is going to post a blog article on blogger.com or on your WordPress blog. By dividing it up, it becomes more effective. Because the way social media works, if you have 10 people talking about a dealership, it's 10 times more effective than one person talking about that same dealership 10 times. You get the point here? It's like democracy. The more employees with their own social media profiles posting content on behalf of your dealership, the more it gets indexed by the search engines, the more traffic you get. Using this distributed workload as a strategy, I use it all the time. It works. It's effective. The only thing you can't do is don't try to force people, because that doesn't work. They just don't do it, or they do it incorrectly. Find the people in your dealership that are excited about representing your dealership in the social media world. Facebook ads. What was it? GM? We're canceling all our Facebook ads. Ford says, okay, well, we'll take the GM ads. Give them to us for half price. We'll take them. Facebook ads work. I use them all the time. I use them to drive attendance to AutoCon. Don't be afraid of Facebook ads. It's like every other type of advertising. If it's done correctly, it works well. If it's done incorrectly, it doesn't work. But you can't argue with the reach.
It works great for service.
It works better for service than probably any other source of revenue for your dealership. I got to tell you, the service coupons that we do on our Facebook ads, we'll do an app with a service coupon, and we'll run an ad that drops them right into that app. And we'll get, it's not unusual to get 200, 300, 350 redemptions in a 90-day campaign for a single store. So Facebook ads work, thank you, Drew, they work exceptionally well for service. They also work for sales. They're more effective for used car sales than they are for new car sales, from what I've seen. Here's an example of a Facebook ad. 7 million impressions, 1,700 people clicking on the ad. We spent less than $1,600. It's just the economies are actually outperform Google AdWords. And I'm out of time, so I know Carrie's about to pull the plug on the video. So let me just go ahead and end it at here. This last concept is, of everything that we do in digital marketing right now, because a year from now it might be different. In my personal opinion, the most significant impact on the store's business that you can make, going back to your store, is going to be in the area of reputation management. Reviews, and let me just point out a couple of things. I got a good friend of mine is here, he's one of his speakers. It's a store I work with, Richard Bastillo, general manager of Rick Case Honda. So I get him going with this social media, with the reputation strategy, doing everything great. I go into a store, and they've been on it for a month, and they've got 400 reviews, and they're all 5-star. I'm like, you guys, this is a disaster. They go, what do you mean? Nobody's going to believe that nonsense. If you don't have some bad reviews mixed in with your good reviews, you just disqualified all the good reviews. I find myself today chasing negative reviews more than I ever chase positive reviews. You need the negative reviews to validate the positive reviews. You need the negative reviews so you can publicly respond and prove that your dealership is concerned about customer satisfaction. People don't really care about the idiot that posted the negative review. You know what they care about? How you responded to that negative review. So when you put in there, call me on my cell phone, let's get the car back in here, we're going to replace that damaged rim that you didn't spot at delivery, blah, blah, blah. And it's obviously not some canned response. People look at that and go, this is the kind of dealer I want to do business with. They take care of business. But if you got 500 five-star reviews, bullshit. Nobody believes it. I don't believe it. Richard's out there. He's like one of my best friends. He's going, Ralph, honestly, we didn't manipulate him. I go, you're so full of crap. You can't get that many five-star reviews. Well, some of them, they started off negative, but we fixed it, and then they changed it. Well, stop changing it. Leave it 3-star and have them just write, dealership made good. Everything's fine. Because guess which reviews get read the most? If you got 500 five-star reviews and 5 2-star reviews, what are the 5 reviews most likely to get read? The 2 stars. Come on, guys, let's get with the program. Nobody believes these 99% CSI scores. They were all manipulated and they're all bullshit. So don't publicly go out there with that line of crap. So I'm out of time. If anybody wants any questions, I'll stick around. And of course, this deck is going to be available for download. And I want to thank you very much for coming. And thank you.